Assalamu alaikum. Get the brothers and sisters on CP time some time to jump on. This is your brother, Brother Landon X. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Shauna Joy X just falling through. And this is, of course, Nation Town TV. We missed y'all last week, but you know, like any grown folks that's trying to do something, myself and Brother Alfonso, who may or may not join us today, he's working to get hooked up, you know, if he gets the chance. But you know, we just had a busy week last week, you know, doing the first work and also just handling personal business. So, you know, we just holding it down for another episode of Nation Town TV. Those of y'all that saw the flyer, as you see, this week's topic will be, was 2017 a good look for Black America or not? Simple as that. You know, we don't really acknowledge this world's idea of New Year's, but to the majority of the world, we are coming to the close of this calendar year. And, you know, it's worth looking back, and also today's episode is inspired by the latest edition of the Final Call. What did 2017 bring Black America? Which I feel like was a valid question that, you know, Nation Town needs to deal with, as far as whether or not, you know, 2017 was a year that Black people should definitely forget, or we should look back and see what we can get from it, or what we can learn from it. So again, this is your brother Landon X, and I want to open up, as we always do in our beautiful nation, in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who mercifully came to us and appeared to us in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever, plus 1,000 days as far as I'm concerned. I further bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, to be right and exact. And I cannot thank this brother, this beautiful brother over my shoulder, enough for taking on the mantle of rebuilding his spiritual father's work, because had he not done that, speaking for myself and a whole generation of people, we would have been psychologically and spiritually stillborn. So I thank him for that. And that is, and for those who don't know what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about, I'm speaking of none other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, again, that beautiful brother just over my shoulder. And I'd like to greet all of you, all 10,015 of y'all, to Nation Town TV. And I want to greet all of you all with the words of peace. We say it in the original language, that's the Arabic language, of Assalamu alaikum. And again, I want to give the brothers and sisters some time to go ahead and join in on the righteous fun. Again, this is your brother Landon X, with a new episode. I know we kind of, you know, we've been kind of AWOL. I just wanted to let you all know, I wanted to touch down, let you all know that Nation Town is not going anywhere. Some of y'all might have been worried that, you know, some agents or provocateurs probably sabotaged us. Well, you know, we got to learn to live with the agents and provocateurs. But trust me, it's all good. We just getting back on track, slowly but surely. And when I speak of agents and provocateurs, I'm speaking of the paid and unpaid, whoever they may be. I want to give a shout out to Facebook, whoever that is out there. I know you watching. But today, again, we dealing with the topic of, was 2017 a good look for Black America or no? And like I said, we might have our brother Alfonso X joining us if he gets the opportunity from his busy work to come through. If not, I'm gonna be with you for a hot minute. I got some things to do myself. You know, This is the time of fulfillment. This ain't the time really for no more marching, no more protesting, unless it's a financial protest. This is a time of fulfillment. So, the young brothers, we out here working, one way or the other. But we dealing with that topic of, was 2017 a good look for Black America or no? Now, the quick or knee jerk or Negro jerk answer to that question would be absolutely not. That it absolutely was a terrible year for black people. And usually, and more than likely, if that's how you feel, that's probably based on one event and all of the side effects of that event, and that is the election of your favorite president, brother, your favorite president, Donald Trump. But I'm going to get into it a little bit later as to how that's actually a good thing for black people, a good thing for us. And we're going to touch on that in a minute. 1 second while I pull up some things. Again, this is your brother, Brother Landon X, Nationtown TV. This is I believe, our 10th episode. All praises due to Allah. I want to thank all the people who have, chimed in either on Facebook or in person, saying how much you enjoy the show. We definitely going to try to be more frequent with it and definitely more consistent. But like I said, it's a matter of, working things around personal schedules, professional schedules, and Brother Alfonso and myself, we got big plans for Nationtown. But of course, those plans have to fall in place between the things that are already going down. So one moment while I pull up a few things, and also want to wait for a few more viewers to jump on. Again, this is your brother Landon X, Nationtown TV. And our topic today is, of course, was 2017 a good look for black people or no? And me personally, I think that's a hell of a question, and it's an important question. And we're going to jump right into that in just a moment, dear brothers and sisters. Also, we will be dealing with questions or comments. We always welcome it. But, until, especially considering that our brother Alfonso X is en route, he may or may not make it. So, dear brothers, with whatever free time we have, definitely hit us up with any questions or comments that you may have. As long as it's dealing with the topic or it's dealing with something that makes sense, we'll definitely try to deal with it once we get around to it. Again, we're dealing with a year-end. This is, I guess you could say, our first year-end episode. Those of you who may have seen a brother or two out on the corner, a brother or two or 10 or 2,000 or 10,000 out there pushing this, the #1 news, not controlled by the Jews, Final Call newspaper. And we dealing with 2017. Was it a good year for black people or not? Was it a good look? Is it something that black people should study? Is it something that we should just try to forget as soon as possible? What is the situation with 2017? Should we be happy that the calendar is flipping? Or should we actually be taking advantage of this moment? So that's the issue that we're going to get to as soon as we get all set up. I promise. Again, this is your brother, Brother Landon X, getting ready to get started with the topic. Was 2017 a good look for black people or no? Just waiting on a few more people to jump on. We're going to jump on this, but as we always say, Nationtown TV is devoted to genuine mathematical distribution of news, opinions, and facts. The name Nationtown is inspired by our beloved Western Regional Student Minister out here on the West Coast, Brother Student Minister Tony Muhammad, who instilled that idea, or I should say plan, not an idea, but plan for a Nationtown for us. You know, for us, by us, and I'm not just talking about the Nation of Islam registered, I'm talking about the Nation of Islam registered and unregistered, all of the Aboriginal people of Los Angeles. But it starts, you know, whenever you building a structure, you know, it's a brick by brick process, and Brother Alfonso and myself, Brother Landon X, we just doing what we can online and offline to lay down those bricks. These live segments and topics are really just an online version of the type of science and building the brothers do. Like when we're holding posts, you know, we really shouldn't be talking, but you know, it's beautiful to build with your brothers, and we just want to give people the opportunity to see that same experience online to all our brothers and sisters in the Nation of Islam, what they call sympathizers, and just our brothers and sisters, Aboriginal people in general. And in the Nation of Islam, we're taught to learn the science of everything. So with Nationtown TV, we deal with the science of everything. So just a moment while I set some things up, and we'll go ahead and get started. Shout out to all those logging on. Of course, we have our dear sister Shauna Joy X. And again, this is your brother, Brother Landon X. Nationtown TV. And again, feel free to hit us with any questions, comments, concerns. You know, you can cry, you can scream, you can holler, you can kick. We don't really care, but we may deal with it if it is concerning the topic at hand. But also share it. You know, if you feel like this is something that somebody you know would be interested in, feel free to share, and we'll definitely deal with any questions or comments that may come up. But as far as the topic, 2017, is it a year that's a good look for black people or not? That's the question that we're dealing with today. And as I said, it's inspired by our latest edition of the Final Call News. What did 2017 bring to black America? And, you know, and it just brought an interesting question as far as I'm concerned. You know, was this a good year for black people? Most people would say no. When you look at some of the major events that black people dealt with this year, you had, you know, first of all, the inauguration of your boy, the first orange president. Shout out to, you know, our first orange president. He's definitely a pioneer in that regard, Donald Trump. You know, that shook up the world. You know, whether you like him, love him, hate him, want to kill him, you know, whatever you want to do with Donald Trump, you gotta agree. He shook up the world, you know. And then that was followed by the so-called racial unrest. You know, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, you know, the man he peeled back the onion of civility, you know, or the lack thereof, because, you know, it's been this kind of, I guess you could say, facade that America has been operating under, this facade of being a colorblind society. And the Donald Trump campaign, the Donald Trump whole campaign, the Donald Trump inauguration as president, 45th president of these United States of America, just really, you know, exposed that whole facade of a so-called color-free or color-blind society. You know, you also had, you know, it was a big year for the black woman. You know, really every year is a big year for the black woman, but it was a big year for the black woman because she really made her presence felt in the political arena. We're going to deal with that a little bit if we get the chance, but also, it was a big year for the female in general when you consider all these, sexual misconduct issues that are popping up. Women are just not taking it anymore, and they going for the jugular, and in a way I respect that. We're going to deal with that. You also had, the continuation. It actually started in 2016, but you had the continuation of the whole Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick would really reach the boiling point, especially with him being released by the San Francisco 49ers. It was last year that he actually first took the stance, but this year he got released by the team, and that really put and then other players and athletes really started to chime in and do their thing, and also their opinion was put out there, whether they were in agreement with Brother Kaepernick or whatever the case may be. So you saw that whole dynamic play out. And then you had the natural disasters. The minister's been telling us for a while, watch the weather. And I'm telling you, man, it was, Allah put on a show this year as far as the weather is concerned. And, and like I said, the big, the 800-pound orange gorilla in the room is Donald Trump. And just with Donald Trump alone, most of you are probably looking at this and saying, hell no, this wasn't a good year for black people. This was a terrible year. So I'm just going to deal with, my opinion on that matter, whether this was a good year or a bad year. But I'm just going to first, I'm not going to leave you in suspense any longer. I will say that I personally believe that it was a fantastic year for black people. Fantastic year, and I'm actually going to deal with that with some actual facts, like we always do in the Nation of Islam. But I feel like it was a beautiful year for black people, because everything that happened this year, I won't say everything, and keep in mind I'm dealing with black America, not necessarily the black world. I would still hold on to that opinion even if I was including all 196,940,000 square miles of this earth. But I'm only dealing with America on this particular topic. But I would say this was a good look for black people overall, because most of the major things that happened is what needed to happen. These were the things that were ordained to happen. And given our current condition, and given the changing of the guard, if you understand, that's going on right now, everything, most of the things, the major things that happen, first of all, it lines up with Scripture, if you understand both Bible and Quran, and it just lines up with common sense of what we need to wake up as a people. Like I said, one of the, I just like so many other people, I really enjoyed watching Barack Obama be inaugurated. I really enjoyed watching descendants of slaves walk across the White House lawn. I know you're probably thinking, oh, he's half Kenyan, but his wife, therefore his children, and as well as his mother-in-law, they're descendants of slaves. And to watch them walk across the White House lawn, and they're not cleaning anything, they're not the driver, the butler, nothing like that, that was beautiful. But one thing I never fell for was this idea that because he was elected, that now America somehow is beyond race. Well, first of all, Barack Obama could have ran the exact same campaign in 1980, and he would have lost. He would have even lost in the Democratic primary. He wouldn't even made it to the general election. One of the big things, and I'm not downplaying our brother's achievement, but one of the big things that led to his success was he did it at the right time. He did it at the right time, where the so-called minority voter is at an all-time high. There's never been more minorities voting than there are now. And this country is just getting darker, straight up. It's just, the Aboriginal people, even though all these weapons are being formed against us, we're still growing. We still having babies. We still doing the thing, if you know what I mean. And there's no, so even though we have this black president, one of the things that I really, shout out to Sister Asia, just joined on. Assalamu alaikum, dear sister. But one thing that I regret about the Obama election is the fact that it brought up this post-racial conversation, which was ludicrous, ridiculous from the beginning. I mean, how can one election make people think that, okay, we've passed, 462 years of abject oppression? That's not even intelligent. Also with Colin Kaepernick, one thing I loved about that is that it was a good look because it was a strong and risky stance by our brother. Let's not forget the brother sacrificed a multi-million-dollar profession. Some of y'all won't even sacrifice a part-time job at Target, for your people. And he put a multi-million-dollar profession on the table and said, you know what, I'd rather stand for something than fall for anything. So I respect that. But not only that, but it also put a lot of other athletes, on the burner, on the hot plate, or the hot seat, as you will. It forced a lot of these other athletes who have just been, going around and, just going along to get along. It forced them to pick a side, because those reporters were sticking those microphones in their face and saying, what do you think? And, it started off with a bunch of no comments and no comments and no comments. But after a while, they had to start saying something, especially as the whole topic started to grow and it started to build and it snowballed. So that forced a lot of these other athletes, and being a sports fan myself, I always had that in the back of my mind. Growing up is, where are the Muhammad Alis of my generation? Who can I look up to? Who's going to, put the fist up like those brothers did at the Olympics? Where are they in our generation? It seemed like we didn't have any. And in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, are some of my favorite athletes a bunch of Uncle Toms and a bunch of coons? And you starting to find out who the coons are, who the Uncle Toms are. Another question I had in the back of my mind was all these owners, these team owners, these team owners. How do they really feel about black people? Well, I'm sure they love us when we scoring touchdowns, when we winning games for them, whatever the case may be. But now we're starting to see their true colors. All my Cowboys fans out there, now you see who Jerry Jones really is. Carolina Panthers owner, showing his real colors. So all these owners, all these white coaches, really showing their real stripes. So that's another reason why I think it's a good look. Shout out to our brother Eduardo stepping in. Assalamu alaikum, dear brother. But also, you had these natural disasters, Hurricane Harvey. It basically proved that God ain't playing with us. Allah is not playing, and the beautiful thing about that, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit in a minute, is how that forced us to really consider the time and what must be done. I'm not one of those people that's scared of some, end time type situation. I feel like we living in the shock of the hour. I feel like my entire lifetime has been in that day of requital, or that day of judgment that you read of in both Quran and Bible. So I don't believe it's going to be a 24-hour period where the sky is going to fall. I feel like the sky been falling, particularly on this world, if you understand what I'm saying. On this world, meaning the powers that be that are perched at the top of the hill right now. It's definitely coming down for them. But I've never been one of those, scared of my own shadow when it comes to current events. But the situation with all these hurricanes, earthquakes in diverse places, is really proving that, and these are all unprecedented. Shout out to Brother Brandon stepping in. But it's really proving that it's really something going on, and it's bigger than something cheap like global warming. It's something serious going on. And like I said, it forced black people and Aboriginal people to really wake up and realize that this world that we've become so comfortable with, which is like that table that Lazarus is at the foot of, we've got comfortable on that table. We've got comfortable sitting at that gate, like Lazarus, but that gate is coming down. So the question is, what are we going to do? But this year proved more so than any previous year that, our days of waiting on crumbs to fall are over, whether we like it or not. You know what I mean? Because not only is the crumb falling, the whole table is falling. So, and then of course, like I said, you had Donald Trump, which I agree with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I think was a beautiful thing for black people. Not because he's going to do anything for us, You know, he's going to, sign some bill that's going to, give us anything we deserve, reparations, anything like that. I think it's good for us because it's always good for us when we are not being pacified by this government. Because this government is good at pacifying the people, and I'm going to touch on that a little bit in a moment. Again, I want to remind everybody that's chiming in. We are taking questions, comments, whatever you want to throw out there, as long as it's on topic and it ain't ignorant. Understand the difference between ignorant and ignorant. Ignorant is just to not know. Ignorant is when you know better, but you just act like you don't know. Okay, but as long as it's reasonable, we definitely dealing with those topics today. And again, this is your brother, just your brother, Brother Landon X, and this is Nation Town TV. Shout out to everybody checking in. Brother Edward, Brother Eduardo, I see you. Brother Deshaun, we had Sister Asia coming in earlier. Akita, Michelle, shout out to all y'all. Uncle Charles, I miss my Uncle Charles, y'all. Everybody falling through. Also trying to get some technical things taken care of. But we're going to keep it rolling either way. But once again, I want to welcome all of y'all. Brother Tavian, assalamu alaikum, dear brother. Falling through. Go ahead and check for Brother Tavian, man. He got some bars, man. I didn't even know the brother was spitting like that. I checked in on that recently, and I'm definitely enjoying that. Shout out to all the artists in the nation. By the way, all the artists out here in LA, the whole hip hop detox crew, No GMO, Allah's Apprentice, Brother Vincent, one of the most talented brothers I've ever seen in my life. Just shout out to all the artists out there with that independent grind, particularly in the nation. I love seeing that. The minister loves seeing that because, like he said, one hot bar, one hot song can be more effective than 100 or even 1,000 sermons. So shout out to all the brothers and sisters, expressing, art form in the best manner. I'm definitely feeling that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Wa alaikum salam. But as we dealing with today, we dealing with the topic of, was 2017 a good look for our people, for black people? And I want to hear your opinion on that. But I'm just pleading my case right now. Like I said earlier, for those of you just chiming in, I think 2017 was a good year. The knee-jerk or the Negro reaction is that it wasn't, just because of Trump and, white folks, showing their true colors. But I love that. If I walk into a room full of white folks, I want to know who the Donald Trumps are. I want to know who the Hillary Clintons are. I want to know who the Father Flagers are. The ones that act like they have some sense. I want to know which ones really hate me and which ones don't. So I think we definitely need to stop measuring as black people. We have to stop measuring life in America by whether or not white people are nice to us. We really got to come off that, man. And that's usually how black people and Aboriginal people judge, their sojourn in America. How nice were white people to me today? If they were mean to us, then we're crying. If they were nice to us, then we rejoicing. I'm really tired of seeing these videos on Facebook of brothers and sisters going to, places of business, being mistreated, and then they go in the car and cry about it. Like Red on Friday, they're gonna cry in the car. And I'm not making fun of that. I know it's hard to deal with racism. I've dealt with racism in my life, and it's tough. Shout out to DJ CJ Muhammad. But I find it funny that when we have these, racist experience with white people, we want to cry about it. We want to shake our fist, drop our head, and be sad. But when we have conflict with one another, ain't nobody crying. It's just all out war. Grab your gun, or throw them things, run that fade. Why don't we have that same mentality with our open enemy? Why is it all, we shall overcome when this white man, slap us in the mouth, but when it's each other, we all, it's all about war. Now all of a sudden we ready to roll in the dirt. But But, you know, in dealing with Donald Trump, I feel like Donald Trump is the president that America deserves right now. You know, I really do. I really feel like he's the president that America needs and deserves. You know, we don't deserve a Barack Obama. And I'm not saying Barack Obama was this perfect president. He was doing his job as CEO of the United States Corporation. He did his job. But, you know, we don't deserve the kind of brother with his heart, with Barack Obama's heart. The brother had a good heart. You know, he had strings attached to his back, and the shadow government was definitely pulling on those strings. But we don't deserve that kind of president who's going to make us feel better about this disaster called the United States of America. We need somebody who's going to tell us straight up, you know, and show us, not tell us, but show us, you know, just how filthy this nation is in all its affairs, you know, so we can fall out of love with it. And that's just how, you know, I honestly feel on the matter, you know. And like I said, this was a big year for our sisters, for black women. You know, you had the so-called Million Woman March. You had the Women's Convention. And I believe in Philadelphia was also an event in D.C. You know, shout out to Tamika Mallory and the sisters that voted in Alabama. You know, and some people like myself kind of twisted my lips on that whole thing, because for one, there was a lot of brothers that voted in Alabama. And for those that don't know, it was a very important, politically important Senate campaign in Alabama, where you had a senator who was, you know, he was a womanizer, a racist, basically a Trump carbon copy, and, you know, and he basically got ousted by a Democrat. But the thing that bothered me about the situation is that while they were successful in keeping, you know, the Republican out of office, you know, it wasn't too many people that could tell you much about the Democrat that they brought in. So that's my issue with it. Okay, you got one out, but what do you know about the other person that you're coming in? And one thing I read about the Democrat that was elected in Alabama is that he's already promised Republicans in Washington, D.C., that in 80% of the bills that come across his desk, you know, he's going to side with the Republicans. And that makes sense, because Alabama is what they call in politics a red state, which means that, you know, if you're not voting Republican, if you're not doing so-called Republican things, you ain't going to last long. And, of course, he's going to want to get reelected in a minute. So, you know, so he's going to be a rubber stamp for Republicans anyway. But I don't want to downplay what the sisters did in Alabama. I think, you know, if nothing else, you know, no matter how you feel about politics, what happened in Alabama was a good look for black unity. It was a good look for black unity. Again, I want to shout out everybody joining on. Elijah Cross. Shout out to Brother Anthony. Assalamu alaikum, dear brother. That's the human library. Not just because he sells books, but also because he's a wise brother, man. Don't let him fool you. You know, you can't get too many words out of him, but that's a beautiful brother for those that know him. Very humble brother. Shout out to him. Brother Kwame Safir. You know, everybody that's just joining in. And as I said earlier, we dealing with the question of whether or not 2017 was a good look for black people. And personally, as I pointed out earlier, I think it was a good look. It is a good look. And I hope we look back on it as we go on to 2018. We also going to play a quick excerpt from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's from a previous year, but it deals with, you know, the new year. And, you know, we always like to hear from our beloved minister on every episode of Nation Town TV. And we're going to hear from our minister, our beloved minister, in a second. I want to remind everybody that's watching, we taking comments, concerns. Shout out Brother Billy X, top soldier, Brother Billy X. I got to throw that top soldier on there. It don't sound right otherwise. But anybody, any questions, any comments, feel free. But also share. You know, hit that little share button down there, man, and just get the word out. You know, if you enjoy our Nation Town segments, you know, shout out to Brother Zaki. If you enjoy our segments, feel free to chime in. But right now I'm going to play an excerpt from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, this beautiful brother over my shoulder, that's just dealing with his opinion on New Year. This is from a previous year. So, you know, I don't want y'all to think, you know, have any inclinations that this is recent. This is from a previous year, but this is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan simply speaking on the new year, and I felt like it was relevant for right now. Let me know if y'all having any technical issues, but this is our beloved minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Let me say, I pray that the new year will be happy. That's a tradition of this world. And the tradition of this world is to raise as much hell as you can as an old year goes out. Make resolutions that you don't intend to fulfill or you won't fulfill, and engage in raucous behavior. We, as Muslims, should not participate in such. The new year may be happy, but it may not be happy. So we should wish for everyone God's peace in the new year. Whether there are misfortunes that we might face which won't make it happy, but if God's peace is with us, then no matter what trial or circumstance comes up in the new year, that resolve with God will help us to get through. So I would like to say to our readers as well as to the public, the Bible says that the old world goes out with a great noise. And to symbolize how the old world is going to go out is the way this world lets the old year go out.
All praises due to Allah. That was our beloved minister, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, dealing with just the topic of the new year, celebrating the new year. For those that know, that may or may not know, we don't really celebrate this world's definition of the new year. Our new year is in the spring, which is the Asiatic understanding of the new year. But this is the new year that the world recognizes. And once again, all praises due to Allah for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. But again, we dealing with the topic 2017. Was 2017 a good look for Black America? For all those tuning in, this is inspired by the latest edition of the #1 news, not controlled by the Jews, the Final Call newspaper, which asked the question, what did 2017 bring for Black America? And, and I thought that was a good topic, not only for the Final Call, but also for Nation Town TV. Shout out to all those joining on right now. True Love Allah, as well as others, Brother Miles, Ali Rashid. Assalamu alaikum, dear brother. But we just dealing with that question. Was 2017 a good look for Black people? As I mentioned, earlier, I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was, because it was necessary. It was like that, that cod liver oil or that tussin your mama used to make you, take when you were sick. It went down bitter, but it was necessary, and you felt better afterward. And I feel like, we're definitely going to look back on 2017 as a people, inshallah, 20, 30 years from now, maybe even 2 years from now, and say, thank Allah, thank God, thank Yahweh, whatever you believe in, for 2017, because, it's a lot of things going on that we need to go through. And again, I want to remind the people, if you want to comment, whatever comments or questions you may have, feel free to let those in. Go ahead and drop those. Shout out to Brother Deontay stepping in, Sister Shantae, all those stepping in. And I'm going to continue with the topic. This is your brother, Brother Landon X. But another thing that took place in 2017 were the natural disasters. And a lot of people who didn't actually go through one, you didn't go through the earthquakes, you didn't go through the rain, you didn't go through the flooding, you didn't go through the wildfires. You think, well, that happens every year. But in all of those natural disasters, from the earthquakes to the wildfires, the experts. Now we talking about white folks. They're experts. I know some of y'all don't believe anything unless it comes from white people. That's okay. I understand. But even they are saying that everything that took place this year from a natural disaster standpoint was unprecedented, meaning they've never seen anything like it before, you know. And for some of us, our attachment to this world has got us panicking. You know, we did a topic previously about, you know, get scared or get prepared. You know, but some of us are panicking on that, especially with that EMP blackout hoax that sister put out there previously. You know, so some people are getting scared based on what's going on in the world. Either some of you are apathetic about it or think it's just the natural way of things, or some of y'all are getting scared. You know, I would say to particularly the Aboriginal people, we have nothing to fear but fear itself, but definitely get prepared, because, you know, when a storm is coming, whether you're going to survive or not, you don't want to get wet. So, you know, get your umbrella, you know, ready to go, so to speak. But you know, we had some interesting things happening as far as the disasters, you know, like I said, that EMP blackout where, you know, everybody was scared that NASA was going to turn off the lights. You know, and then some people even wanted to give credit for these natural disasters to white folks. Now, you know, you love white people when you start giving them credit for the weather, but I ain't going to get into that whole topic. It's not even worth my time or yours. Shout out to all of our viewers stepping in, Nation Town TV. But I'm just here to tell you that Allah is the Lord of all the worlds, and nothing happens without his permission or without him flipping the switch. And what you see happening this year is prescribed, it's ordained, and overall, you know, I think it's good for the people. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Martha, stepping in. Everybody else that's checking in, we appreciate y'all, you know, joining in with us. Normally, as you know, our brother Alfonso X is with us. I'm not sure if he'll be able to step in today, but he's definitely with us in spirit. We don't believe in no spook God or spook soldiers, but he'll definitely be stepping in if he gets the chance. But one thing that comes to mind as far as the disasters that are going on and that we dealt with in 2017 is, you know, in the Bible, in the poison book, the book of Matthew 24:6-8, where it talks about, you know, earthquakes in diverse places. And I'm going to read that for y'all real quick for those of you not familiar with that scripture. Again, it's the book of Matthew 24:6-8. Where it basically says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation." I see you, Russia. "And kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famine and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." Now, you know, and that's a lot. And that's depressing to a lot of people that read that. Because like I said, you know, we've become so comfortable in this world. So any news, I mean, I never understood why a black person or Aboriginal person would ever be sad about the end of this world. Because first of all, we're not going anywhere. The Aboriginal people of this earth, which includes, you know, so-called black people, you know, our Aboriginal brothers, our Native Americans, our so-called Hispanic brothers and sisters, even a few of our Asian brothers and sisters, we ain't going nowhere. You know, we're older than the sun, moon, and stars. We were here in the beginning, and we'll be here at the definite end. But our open enemy definitely has an expiration date, and that date is actually passed. So they like spoiled milk right now. That's why they complaining. You know, but, you know, we can't cry with them. We can't cry for them, and we definitely can't panic about what's to come for them. Now, some of us are going to get caught in the crossfire, you know, and just like if somebody is aiming at somebody in the crowd, the closer you stand to them, the better chance you're going to get shot with them. So if you know they aiming at somebody, you might want to get away from them. So right now, Allah is aiming at somebody. I ain't going to say no names, but he aiming at somebody. And we can either stand in front of them, you know, like our brother Samuel Jackson on Django, or we can get out the way. But the part of that passage, that scripture I just read, that I really want to focus on is where it said, for all these things must come to pass. And it says, see that ye be not troubled. So they talking to somebody. They talking to somebody. Then they talking to the Aboriginal people of this earth. All these things must come to pass. It ain't no getting around it. So that's just something that we just got to deal with. And I think it's a beautiful thing for black people. You look back on everything that we've gone through in the last 6,000 years, particularly in the last 462 years. Man, we should be so happy that this world is falling apart. I mean, we should be so happy that the dollar is falling apart. The dollar is I think worth less than a quarter right now. You know, we should be happy about that. Every dollar in America has a slave master's face on it. Why are we scared of that falling apart? You know, I can't wait till the day where we all running around burning money. You know, not burning it by spending it on the wrong stuff, spending it on garbage that we don't need, but burning it literally, you know, taking a torch to it, because that's the time that we in right now. So we should be happy, man. We should all be dapping each other up about this world falling. Not only should we be happy about it, but we should be doing everything we can to expedite that process, to push that process forward. And we may touch on that a little bit. But again, I want to remind all of our viewers, first of all, shout out, assalamu alaikum, to everybody joining on. Brother Mike Shabazz, Sister Kim Muhammad, Abdul Aziz Muhammad, Brother E.J. Jackson stepping in. I see a comment from our brother Kwame Safir. He says, divinely, intelligently orientated, and demographically driven grievous chastisements. I like that. The fires in California never come to the ghettos. They are driven to Allah and his people's enemies. Definitely. Shout out to Brother Kwame Safir. And one thing that was interesting, and you know, in Islam, we don't seek joy in other people's downfall. You know, and there are people who lost a lot in those wildfires. But one thing I found interesting is that when those wildfires were at their height, you know, it was the weather in South Central Los Angeles was beautiful. I've never seen it was just so beautiful. The sky was clear. Those of you who live on the West Coast in Los Angeles or a major city like New York, you know it's rare that you even get a clear sky because of all the smog. But it was so beautiful that week. And I just noticed that, like, man, you got all this hail, literal hail going on, you know, around the corner with these wildfires. But in South Central, in the hood, you know, man, it was beautiful. So I just wanted to point that out. But thank you for that comment, dear brother Kwame Safir. Apparently we got brother Ben step through. Assalamu alaikum to brother Ben. You know, that brother works hard. I love how that brother represents the nation and just Aboriginal people in general on Facebook and online. He definitely sets the standard on that, so shout out to brother Ben. But also, as I mentioned earlier, another major thing was, you know, the Colin Kaepernick sports protest. And, you know, like I said, as a sports fan, I'm just enjoying how Colin Kaepernick is forcing the sports world to come off the fence on how they feel about race relations. We just got to deal with the fact that in America, race is an issue. It's always been an issue. It always will be an issue as long as the powers that be, the people who run this country right now, as long as they're at the forefront and controlling this nation. When something is built on something, you can't get around it. If you build a house, you know, on bricks, you know, you can't ignore those bricks. If you build a house on dirt, you can't get around that dirt because you're sitting right on top of it. This nation was built on the blood, sweat, and agony of black people, based on something that is truly and just purely racial. You know, they didn't any, mini, miny, mo us in Africa and say, okay, we pick y'all, we choose y'all for no, you know, actual reason. We just randomly choose y'all to come over here and, you know, and be our slaves, you know, for 200-300 years. That's not how it went down. It had a specific aim to it, and it was rooted in race and rooted in racism. So that's something that we just can't get around. And we sit around, dealing with the sports issue. We sit around in barbershops and even on Facebook. Assalamu alaikum, Muhammad Mas number 78. I definitely return those greetings. But we sit around and we argue about who's better, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan. I've seen brothers fall out over that whole argument of Jordan and LeBron, Jordan and Kobe. I've seen brothers who were friends not talk to each other no more because they got into it so bad over that kind of thing. But it always, just the kind of brother that I've always been in the back of and I've engaged in a couple of those conversations myself. I ain't gonna act like my hands are completely clean. But one thing I always noticed and I always thought was, who are these brothers? Who is Michael Jordan really? Who's LeBron James really? How does he feel about his people? How does he feel about his own family? How does he feel about the community he came from? What does he do for the community that he came from? Who is Kobe really? What kind of person is he really? And what is he doing for black people? The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, not only that a nation, can rise no higher than its woman, but an individual can rise no higher than his people, than his nation. So, I really don't care how many rings Michael Jordan won. I really don't care how many rings or NBA finals that LeBron James lost. I don't care how many records, Michael Jordan records, Kobe broke. I really don't give a damn if I feel like they're Uncle Tom. And I really don't care about LeBron losing the finals against whoever if I know that this brother is, when I consider the fact that this brother's whole team, from his agent to his lawyers, they all brothers and sisters. He went back, he got his homeboy, the brother that he grew up with playing touch football in the street, he opened the door for him to become one of the most successful agents in sports and one of the few successful black agents in sports. Even before Jay-Z got into the whole sports agency game, LeBron did that, and that to me is bigger than him winning 5, 6, 7 rings. Because on the flip side, Jordan is investing in prisons. On the flip side, Jordan and his product has been bleeding the black community. Now, I can't put that on Jordan by himself because it's us that's reaching in our pockets and paying for these shoes. But it's his product that really kind of is the poster child for black people and our terrible spending habits. So I really don't care anymore about, the whole Jordan Kobe debate and all of that. I want to know which one of these brothers is a nigga and which one of these brothers is a black man. That's what I want to know. And even as women's sports are starting to, take off, I feel the same way about the sisters that are playing ball. Serena and Venus. What team are they really on? What team are they really on? And we finding out the answers to those questions now. And it makes it easier for me to really pick and choose which athletes I support or that I'm willing to back or defend. I don't like LeBron James as an athlete. From a sports fan perspective, I'm not a big fan of the brother. But over the last few years, watching some of the things he's done as a black man, first of all, being a great father, being faithfully married to a beautiful black woman. I'm going to say that one more time. Being faithfully married to a beautiful black woman. I'm going to say that a third time. Being faithfully married to a beautiful black woman and not some groupie he met in a club, or that he accidentally got pregnant. So he said, what the hell, I might as well marry her. That's not the situation with his wife. This is a sister that he's been knowing for a long time, and they building a beautiful family together. See, that's the kind of stuff that impresses me in 2017, going on 2018. And honestly, if you're a brother, you're a sports fan, and you wake up every day and you think about these athletes and the only thing you're thinking about is how many championships they won, how many points that they scored last night, but you're not thinking about what kind of black man they are, then really you need to grow up. You got some maturity, some maturation to take care of, but that's just where I am with it. But again, I want to encourage all of our viewers, all 15,000 of y'all, to, chime in. Any questions, concerns you may have. Also share this, if you think this is something that some brothers and sisters on your friends list may want to see, feel free to share that. And shout out Brother Lindell and all those that are touching down and checking in with us at Nation Town TV. I'm not going to be on here too much longer, but I just wanted to really touch on this topic of whether or not 2017 was a good look, because some of us, from a black standpoint, can't wait for 2017 to be over. I'm gonna be kind of sad when 2017 is when we close the book on it, because like I said, there was a lot of golden opportunities that came up in 2017 for black people, and a lot of beautiful learning experiences. I love the election of Donald Trump. It surprised the hell out of me. He shocked the world, but just him being president and being the kind of president he is really waking a lot of black people up. Black people know it's time to stop playing, and just on that tip, I love it. But, but another thing dealing with 2017 and how it was a tough year on one hand, but that pain was necessary. It reminds me of labor pains. All of us came in this world, through natural means. We came through the agency of our mother. Shout out to all the mamas. Make sure y'all call your mama. I need to call my mama again, but especially on your birthday, call your mama and thank her for dealing with your big head, raggedy behind. But most women are in labor, excruciating pain for several hours, before they have a child. I had one sister explain it to me like this. She said, imagine taking your bottom lip and pulling it over the back of your head to touch the back of your neck. That's how hard it is to give birth naturally. So that's what we going through as a people right now. These are the labor pains of a new world. We going into a new world. It's about to be a new champion. It's about to be a new guardian at the gate. This world that we become so comfortable with, we all agree that this world is bad for us, but this world is coming to an end, like it or not. And what you see are labor pains, everything from the natural disasters to the political disasters, to the social disasters. All these things are the labor pains that are getting ready for the coming of a new world. And, and we're that baby. We're that baby that's coming now. Some of y'all might be thinking, all right, brother, so we to be the new rulers. In our Supreme Wisdom lessons, it teaches us that we're to be the perfect rulers. But some of y'all are thinking, well, if we're to be the new rulers, then, man, we're not going to make, too good of rulers, because right now we don't have anything. We ain't running nothing. We ain't controlling nothing. We can't even control the way we spend our money correctly. So, are we even ready to be the rulers? Well, one thing I'll say to that, I think that still, matches the analogy that I'm putting forth, which is that we are indeed that baby that's being born in those labor pains. Because when you think about a baby, when it's actually born, even though it put, their mother through all that pain, when the baby is born, it's not ready to do much. It can't walk, it can't talk. It can't even use the bathroom properly by itself. It can't even feed itself. So we are that baby, and when the tide changes and when we're the ones on the forefront, we're gonna be operating like babies for a minute. But nothing gets you, on your game than when your back is against the wall. And when we look around, when we wake up one day, and there is no white man, there is no white government, there are no more crumbs coming off the table, and that whole table done fell. That's going to be the day where we're going to have to wake up and do for ourselves and do for self and build our own nation. But it starts today, and it starts mentally first, financially second. Stop waiting on some boat to come pick us all up and take us back to Africa. Hell, Africa is going through hell right now. Y'all saw what was going on with the Libyan slave trade. So it ain't about escaping to nowhere else. It's about escaping from our own ignorance. But shout out to everybody. Touch It Down. Sister Kim out of Ferguson, Missouri. Shout out to Ferguson. Man, I love their heart in Ferguson. Brother Lindell, shouting out from the Shy. But again, like I said, I'm not going to take too much of y'all time. I just wanted to touch down and let people know that Nation Town is still operating. We still own it. We still trying to represent the Nation of Islam, Mosque 27 in the best manner. Shout out to all my West Point cadets. Shout out to Student Minister Tony Muhammad. You know, I talked to the brother this week, and he reminded me. He said, brother, you know, he said he loved Nation Town and keep it going. I took that, you know, when our superiors give us a suggestion, we have to take it as an instruction or a command. So I took that as a command. So I just wanted to touch bases with y'all and let you know that we got some big things coming. We about to expand things with Nation Town TV, with a blog site, you know, as well as other things such as music and movie reviews. We're really about to expand this as best we can. We also got special instructions straight out of Chicago from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan through Brother Fontaine. And I really want to give a shout out before I get off here to all the brothers and sisters, not just in the Nation of Islam, all the brothers and sisters, all the Aboriginal brothers and sisters, but particularly in the Nation of Islam, who are portraying a very positive, you know, beautiful portrait, you know, of the nation on social media. And I really mean that from the bottom of my heart, because when I first came back to social media earlier this year, you know, I was reluctant to do so. You know, I had a brother who you know, he suggested that I do it. I came back to social media. I hadn't been on Facebook in about 6 or 7 years. And, you know, I'm not going to get into it, but I didn't really like what I saw from young black people in general, particularly, you know, also even from some believers. It just felt like we weren't representing ourselves in the best manner. But it's almost as soon as I was thinking that, I immediately saw a change. You know, I saw the work that brothers like Brother Ben X are putting in, Brother Reza Islam, shout out to Brother Reza, you know, and all the brothers and sisters that are out there really putting on a really beautiful look for the nation, you know, registered and unregistered. So shout out to them, and that's another reason why I feel like 2017 was definitely a good look for black people, because, you know, we really showing, improving, and we building slowly but surely. You know, keep in mind, Black Wall Street, you know, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, you know, in the early 20th century. They built all of that in less than 20 years. And the only mistake they made is that when it was burned down, they didn't rebuild. So brothers and sisters, you know, we could probably, you know, duplicate that in half the time. And it's not just about, you know, starting businesses. That's a huge part of it. But it's how we spend our money. It's how we conduct ourselves. It's how we treat each other. You know, we got to stop, you know, dealing with petty things. Leave all that pettiness in 2017, please. You know, all the pettiness, all the, you know, ask yourself this in 2018. And this is something, and I'm talking to myself too. I'm looking at my reflection right now, so I'm talking to myself more so than anybody else. Whatever grievances you have in 2018, whatever beefs you have in 2018, whatever issues you have with anybody, ask yourself this: are they really your enemy? And could those emotions that you putting out there, could they be better suited, aimed at somebody else? You know, that brother you don't like at your job, at the mosque, at church, wherever. You know, I know you don't like him. That sister, I know you don't like her. She thinks she's cute, whatever the case may be. But ask yourself this: is there a greater enemy? Is there a better battle to fight? You know, are there bigger fish to fry out there? That's something that black people really got to focus on. Because I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you a secret. It's just between me and y'all. The day we start treating white people like we treat each other, the day we start treating our open enemy, just the day we start treating white supremacy the way we treat each other, we don't even have to change the way we treat each other. If we just start treating our open enemy the way we treat each other, I'm talking about in an economic standpoint, social standpoint, in every way, shape, or form. If we start having the same chip on our shoulder with our open enemy that we have with each other, man, you talk about overnight change. We'll be free. We'll see salvation overnight. So let that be. Just dropping the seed, on, in y'all head for 2018. Once again, shout out to Sister No GMO, checking in. Sincere Islam Allah, Ann Horn. Shout out to those. Everybody that's checking in. Dominique A. Queen. Khalik Zulu Shabazz, Carl Muhammad, Lita Watts, Marcus X Craven. Shout out to all them stepping in. Like I said, I ain't going to take too much of y'all time. Assalamu alaikum to Brother Ahmad Parker stepping in. Ahmad X, excuse me. Please excuse me, dear brother. Brother Ahmad X stepping in, as well as Brother Kevin Gregory, who's one of our regular viewers. Assalamu alaikum. Peace to the gods coming through. But like I said, I'm not going to take too much more of y'all time, but I just wanted to step in and deal with that question of whether or not 2017 was a good look for black people. I've already, laid my cards on the table. I feel like it was a beautiful look for black people because everything that happened, positive and negative, is what needed to happen for black people. We may not appreciate it now, but there's gonna come a time very soon where we're gonna look back and say 2017 is where it really started. That's where we really started. A lot of us are realizing that economically we can't rely on this world, and we gotta stop. Like I said earlier, we gotta stop judging our condition in this country by how nice white people are to us. That's one of the most ignorant things that we do as a people. Some of us, the kind of day that we have is based on whether or not white people were nice to us that day or not. Some of us come home sad because, white massa, white boss was mean to us. Some of us come home happy because, some random white person patted us on the head and gave us some kind of, backhanded compliment. But we really got to start really looking, within ourselves, looking within our own communities. We really need to focus on our children being educated by us. We really have to spend our money in the blackest way possible. And we really got to internalize, because here's another secret. Everybody else is doing it. Everybody else is doing it. Go to a Korean neighborhood. Here in Los Angeles, they have a large Korean community. If you go to Koreatown here in L.A., first of all, consider that name Koreatown. And that might give you some inclination of why we call this Nation Town. But if you go to Koreatown, they have these huge shopping centers. Sometimes they 3 stories high. Shopping centers filled with markets and stores. But you don't know what kind of stores they are because every store, the sign out front and the signage on the windows is in Korean. Which means that they are so internalized and they are so unified that they don't even want the black dollar. They don't even want the white dollar. They basically saying, nigga, if you can't read my sign, I don't want your money. So obviously they're making enough money through their own unity that they don't even need foreign money. They don't need money coming out of South Central. They don't need money coming out of Calabasas. They don't need money coming from any other community because they take care of each other. And Koreatown is growing, and it's every time I drive through it, it looks better and better. And because they're so internalized and they love themselves. So when we talk about black unity, it ain't, it's nothing racist. I'm just saying that we need to get in line because the rest of this country is already in that unity line. We the only ones in some other line, looking at each other crazy. So we got a couple of comments. We got Sister No GMO saying, focus on removing the poison in yourself and everyone will follow, for they will be following Allah. Work on being obedient. That's real talk. We really need to get rid of these devils, but it starts with the devil inside. Our student Minister Tony Muhammad, he said something very poignant, and speaking of him, definitely come on down this Sunday, all of you in the Los Angeles area, 8701 South Vermont. Come see our dear brother, Student Minister Tony Muhammad. You know, he's in town for a limited time. You know, you never know when he's going to hop on that plane, so definitely come through and hear from him. But as I was saying, he said something that was really poignant. He said that the devil on the outside, what they're trying to do is connect with the devil that's already in you. You know, so if you mad at anybody, and for some of us, the devils that we mad at are not even white people. Some of us, our main enemy that's on our mind, even though they may not be our real enemy, the main enemy that's on our mind is somebody that looks just like us. You know, it's probably somebody you work with, somebody that's in your social circle. And we act like they just our main enemy, even though they ain't never stopped you from getting a job. They ain't never stopped you. They ain't never pulled you over. They ain't never put no charges on you. They ain't never tried to break up your family in any way, shape, or form. But the devils on the outside are trying to connect like a Wi-Fi signal, trying to connect with the devils inside of you. And if you allow that connection to happen, then really you deserve everything that you go through. So like the sister said, we got to work on the devils on the inside. We need to cage them up, shut them down, and then it doesn't matter what the devils on the outside are doing. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that if we continue to follow him in his blueprint that he's laid out for us, we will have to tie a string around our finger just to remind ourselves that this white man even exists. So when we talk about dealing with devils, definitely deal with the devils within yourself first. That's something that we should all seek to do in this so-called new year that's coming around. Nationtown TV has a pinned comment. What's the biggest takeaway from 2017 that helped guide us in 2018? I think the biggest takeaway is we all we got. We all we got. Like I said, you know, our brother Barack Obama, his presidency tricked some of y'all. And I'm going to say y'all. I ain't going to say us. I usually use those kind of terms, us and we. But I'm going to say y'all, because I was never tricked. I voted for the man twice, and I wasn't tricked. You know, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that in a minute. But his presidency, not necessarily him, but his presidency tricked a lot of us into thinking that we were in this post-racial society, that the doors of this country, you know, politically, you know, economically, were really going to open up for us. And it was a hypocritical trick. You know, we all start walking back toward that burning house of integration that Dr. King spoke of. So 2017 was the we all we got year. It was the year that should have reminded us that there's no other option but separation. And every other group of people in this country have proven that. I mean, every other group has proven that. The only group that wakes up every day trying to figure out how white can they become at the end of the day, collectively, the only group that's doing that is black people. And some of our smartest, some of our best are still thinking like that. I mean, just listen to some of the conversations we have with one another. Some of us, and I'm going to hurt some people's feelings with this, but, you know, and I'm guilty of this. I've said things like this. But we use little code words when we talk to one another, when we talk about advancing in life. You know, we say things like, you know what, I want to, you know, earn enough money to move to a good neighborhood. And usually when we say that, if somebody strapped us to a lie detector and asked us, what do you really mean by good? When you say good neighborhood, what kind of neighborhood are you talking about? The lie detector would show that what we really mean by good is white. When we say we want to send our children to good schools, a lot of times what we really mean are white schools. Schools in a white neighborhood. You know, when we talk about wearing good clothes, we're usually talking about some brand of clothing that has some white homosexual's name on it. You know, when we talk about even driving a good car, I know black people in America, we don't make any cars, but when we talk about a good car, we're talking about the most foreign European car that we can find. You know, so we got to just really separate our minds from the idea that, you know, that goodness and salvation has to come from somewhere other than ourselves. You know, and it starts, like the sister said, it starts on the individual level. But once we go from the individual, the next step is our own community and people that look like us. And then the next step we can go, I know some of y'all can't wait to love white people. I know. Y'all really want to love white people, but let's look at it this way. If you're going to love white people, you want to give them something, right? You want to be able to properly love them. I'm talking to all my Negro brothers and sisters who really want to love white people. If you want to love them, don't you really want to love them genuinely? Well, you can't give something to somebody that you don't already have. You know, some people out there like myself, I would love to give everybody $1 million. But if I don't have it for myself, all them checks that I write, they gonna bounce. You know what I mean? Would you take a check for $1 million from a homeless person? You know, go ahead and walk in that bank and try to cash it if you want to. You know, you're going to be so embarrassed. They're going to laugh you out of that bank. So in order for you to give something to somebody, you have to first have it for yourself so you can afford to give some away. Right now, black people have zero, as a collective, we have zero self-love. And whatever little self-love we have, it's misguided oftentimes. So if you one of them people, one of them love everybody people, then let's start with each other. Don't tell me you love everybody, but then when the topic of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan comes up, now, you know, nothing, everything except love comes out of your mouth. And even other black leaders. One thing that I'm checking myself on in 2018 is I'm going to refrain from making any public disparaging remarks about any other black so-called leader or what they call thought leaders. You know, the Umar Johnsons of the world, the Ta-Nehisi Coates of the world. You know, even if I disagree with them, I'm going to make sure I find, if I'm going to disagree with them in a public manner, I'm going to do it in the best manner possible. Because that's something that we jump at far too often, is the opportunity to tear one of our brothers and sisters down. That's why if you go to my Facebook page, you don't see anything about Brother Umar and what he's going through with his situation. I'll just leave it at that. But he's going through some situations that's all self-inflicted through our own community. You know, and also another example is Sister Omarosa. You know, who the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has had nothing but good things to say about. But, you know, even in her situation, as soon as she got fired, you know, we all jumped on that bandwagon, you know. But what we really should have been, we should have been sad. We should have been sad for her. We should have been sad for our people. You know, even if you think she's a sellout, we should be sad about the fact that sellouts even still exist. You know, if you like the sister, you should be, you know, you should have sympathy for her. But I made sure I didn't speak on those issues or jump on that bandwagon or pile on to those brothers and sisters, because we don't need to pile on each other. This world is already piled on our shoulders. We're born with this world on our shoulders, you know, just by being Aboriginal people born into this world that's ran by, you know, the skunks of the planet Earth. So, you know, that's one thing that I'm going to check myself on. If I don't have anything good to say about a fellow brother or sister in a public manner. Now, if I'm just talking to my brother, you know, on the slide, I'm going to say what I want to say. But, you know, in a public manner, you know, when it's dealing with other brothers and sisters that are prominent, I'm going to make sure I keep myself in check. Looking for some other comments. Shout out to my nephew. Shout out to nephew. I see you, Brother Rex. Assalamu alaikum, dear brother. I know you probably don't know how to pronounce it, but shout out to my nephew. I changed that brother's diapers. You know, we look about the same age, but I changed that brother's diapers, him and his brother. Shout out to them, Sister Trinice stepping in. And I appreciate the compliment, Brother James Muhammad. Outstanding conversation towards proper behavior. Yes, sir. Wa alaikum salam. But like I said, I'm not going to hold y'all too much longer. We do have another pinned comment from our sister No GMO. She says, our brain cells are made up of 14 billion cells, and all of them Allah created, which means they were created for us to think right. We are capable always. Yes, ma'am. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad also said that, you know, the human brain is one of the most underused things in the universe. One of the most underused things, and that lines up somewhat with what some scientists have said, that the average human only uses 10% or less of our brains. So, let 2018 be the year where we use all our brains and we cut down on anything that we're taking into our bodies that's shutting down our brain. And I know Dr. Wesley got a lot of our, our cannabis, our weed smokers a little up in arms. But let me just say this as far as, those of us, and I'm not just talking about drugs. I'm not just talking about weed. I'm not just talking about pills. I'm also talking about pork. I'm also talking about eating too much meat. I'm talking about eating too much, period. Think about this. If you're really concerned with this government, raise your hand if you think the government is shady. Raise your hand if you think Donald Trump is shady. Raise your hand if you think the Illuminati is shady. Raise your hand if you think this world is shady. Okay, well, let me ask you this. If this whole world is so shady, if this president is so shady, if this government is so shady and so underhanded, Illuminati is so shady, so underhanded, why do you want to be high around all this shadiness? Don't you want to be alert? Don't you want to be in your best physical condition? Don't you want your mind to be sharp as possible? Don't you want to be on point in a world like this? And I'm going to take a little sidebar. I was watching an interview on, I believe it was the Breakfast Club. They had Yo Gotti, the rapper, on there. And he revealed to Brother Charlemagne, shout out to Brother Charlemagne, that when he was in the dope game, he didn't even drink. Didn't smoke weed, didn't do anything. And Charlemagne asked him, why not? He said, man, if you really out there, if you really in the game like that, you can't afford to be high. And so we have to look at that on a broader scale. If this world is really this cruel, underhanded, shady world that we say it is, and it is, make no mistake, if it really is that, then why do we want to be anything other than ourselves? Why do we want to be anything other than on point in a world like this? So let's all try to make 2018 our healthiest year, the year of our clearest mind. Be on point, because if you really think this is a shady world you live in, if you think you got all these haters, you look on Facebook, everybody got 1 million haters. That's interesting. I thought you actually had to be somebody to have a hater, but everybody got 1 million haters. Well, if you got all these haters and you got this crooked government hanging over your head, you got this raggedy orange president that's tearing everything down, why would you want to be anything other than on point? But like I said, in a hot minute, I'll be shutting it down. But any yes ma'am, Nation Town TV, all general orders 1 through 12 in full effect. Any questions or comments before I get out of here? I'm going to shut it down in a hot minute. I want to thank everybody who came through. Our regulars, as they call them, our regular Nation Town soldiers who come through and support us on a regular basis. Shout out to Sister Kadira Muhammad. Special shout out to Kadira Muhammad, because one thing I've been noticing lately, Sister Kadira has been making a lot of business-related posts, and that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love seeing brothers and sisters who are using Facebook in the best manner. And if she's not one of your Facebook friends, I don't want to flood her inbox, but if you're interested in business, you definitely want to have that sister as a Facebook friend, because every time I see her post, 9 times out of 10, it's always something that's business related. And I've actually come across some very helpful tips from the sister. And she brings up some pretty sharp topics dealing with black business and just growing your business, period. Man, thank you, Brother William Muhammad. He said, thank you for sharing this truth. Man, thank you for just, touching down and convening with your brother. I thank all of y'all who stepped in and showed us love. We're going to, like I said, we make this promise every week, and we're going to continue to try to be more consistent. And, myself and Brother Alfonso, who couldn't join us tonight, but like I said, he's here in spirit. He's somewhere doing the work, either on a personal, professional level or for the nation. But, everywhere we go, we doing nation work one way or the other, if you understand. Shout out to Brother E.J. Jackson. Assalamu alaikum, brother. You keep up the good work, brother. Shout out to everybody doing, anything positive in your individual lives, personal lives, public lives. But I thank you for that compliment. And like I said, we're going to shut it down in a minute. Shout out to Sister No GMO. Appreciate you and the rest of the fam. Definitely appreciate you all, And shout out to Hip Hop Detox. Sister No GMO, if you want to, any updates that you have about Hip Hop Detox, even on a national level, feel free to post it here. Because after this live segment, we will post the video. So any information you want to put on about Hip Hop Detox, I had the privilege of attending the most recent Hip Hop Detox out here, man, and it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. It was a good look for black people, a good look for the nation. It was a good look for hip hop, man. All these Negroes talk about hip hop is dead. You just need to come out the graveyard. You think it's dead because you hanging out in the cemetery. You need to go where hip hop is alive, and I'm telling you, it's more places than you think. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But with that said, I don't think we have any other questions or comments. I'm going to go ahead and shut it down for today. This may be our last broadcast before the so-called new year. It may not be. We may surprise y'all, run up on y'all this weekend. Shout out to everybody joining on as we're about to sign off. Shout out to Brother Abdul Kamara. I don't understand anything you just posted, brother. Looks like it's in French or Spanish, but I definitely appreciate you. And this brother also posts a lot of quality content. Sometimes I can't read it, but he posts some very interesting videos from all over the world. So shout out to that brother. But yeah, it's definitely and truly Nation time, and this is Nation Town. And I'm going to give y'all another 15, 20 seconds if you have any questions or concerns dealing with the topic. Was 2017 a good look for black people? Was it a good look, or is this a year that we need to forget as soon as possible? As I made it clear earlier, I think it was a good look because everything that happened was like medicine. It was like medicine for us. It's what we needed. I know that the fake, colorblind, utopia that the Obama administration painted for us made us feel better. But sometimes what makes you feel better is not necessarily what is better. And I think most of what's going on in 2017 is actually good and therapeutic for us. So if anybody got any other comments before I step out. But once again, I just want to thank y'all for chiming in with your brother. This is my first time doing a whole show by myself. I'm glad it wasn't lonely. But we're going to continue hitting y'all with more content as well as a blog site and other things that we have. I'm going to read this comment real quick from my associate at Nation Town TV. Fighting is enjoined on you, though it is disliked by you, and it may be that you dislike a thing while it is good for you, and it may be that you love a thing while it is evil for you, and Allah knows why you know not. That's from the Holy Quran. I love that ayat. I love that. But with that said, dear brothers and sisters, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Once again, thank all of you for coming through. Keep an eye on Nation Town TV. If you haven't liked or followed the page, please do so. We're going to be coming with a lot of quality content in 2018, and we're gonna go hard. We got Savior's Day coming up. We got some special things planned for Savior's Day, so be on the lookout for that. And with that said, I want to leave you all, beautiful black people, beautiful Aboriginal people, just as I greeted you all in the beginning, in the words of peace. We said in our original language, the Arabic language, in the words of peace of Assalamu alaikum